Hare Hare. Welcome to this Monday morning Srimad-Bhagavatam discussion on Srimad-Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 9, entitled The Passing Away of Bhīṣmadeva, text 46. Before we start the discussion on this particular verse of Srimad-Bhagavatam, let's sing Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Dhari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Dhari, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Dhari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Dhari, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Dhari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Dhari, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Shri Radhe Jaya Panchatattva Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtotra Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaved Bhaktavrind Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So today we are reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, entitled The Passing Away of Bhīṣmadeva, text 46. The verse is tasya nirharaṇādīni samparetasya bhārgava yudhiṣṭhira kārayitvā muhūrtaṁ duḥkhito bhavat. Tasya nirharaṇādīni samparetasya bhārgava yudhiṣṭhira kārayitvā muhūrtaṁ duḥkhito bhavat. tasya nirharaṇādīni samparetasya bhārgava yudhiṣṭhira kārayitvā muhūrtaṁ duḥkhito bhavat. Word by word, tasya, his, nirharaṇādīni, funeral ceremony, samparetasya, of the dead body, bhārgava, O descendant of Bhṛgu, yudhiṣṭhiraḥ, Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira, kārayitvā, having performed it, muhūrtaṁ, for a moment, duḥkhito, sorry, abhavat, became. Translation: O descendant of Bhṛgu, Śaunaka, after performing funeral rituals for the dead body of Bhīṣmadeva, Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira was momentarily overtaken with grief. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Bhīṣmadeva was not only a great family head of Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira, but also he was a great philosopher and friend to him, his brothers and his mother. Since Maharaj Pandu, the father of the 5 brothers headed by Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira, had died, Bhīṣmadeva was the most affectionate grandfather of the Pandavas and caretaker of the widow daughter-in-law Kunti Devi. Although Maharaj Dhritarashtra, the elder uncle of Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira, was there to look after them, his affection was more on the side of his 100 sons, headed by Duryodhana. Ultimately, a colossal clique was fabricated to deprive the 5 fatherless brothers of the rightful claim of the kingdom of Hastinapur. There was great intrigue, common in imperial palaces, and the 5 brothers were exiled to the wilderness. But Bhīṣmadeva was always a sincerely sympathetic well-wisher, grandfather, friend and philosopher to Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira, even up to the last moment of his life. He died very happily by seeing Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira to the throne. Otherwise, he would have long ago quitted his material body, instead of suffering agony over the undue sufferings of the Pandavas. He was simply waiting for the opportune moment, because he was sure and certain that the sons of Pandu would come out victorious in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, as his lordship Sri Krishna was their protector. As a devotee of the Lord, he knew that the Lord's devotee cannot be vanquished at any time. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira was quite aware of all these good wishes of Bhīṣmadeva, and therefore he must have been feeling the great separation. He was sorry for the separation of a great soul and not for the material body which Bhīṣmadeva relinquished. The funeral ceremony was a necessary duty, although Bhīṣmadeva was a liberated soul. Since Bhīṣmadeva was without issue, the eldest grandson, namely Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira, was the rightful person to perform this ceremony. It was a great boon to Bhīṣmadeva that an equally great son of the family undertook the last rites of a great man. Before we discuss on this verse, let me offer some prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namashreshtham Manamapi Shachiputram Atra Swarupam Rupam Tasyagrajam Murupurim Maturim Goshthavati राधाकुण्डं गिरिवरं अहो राधिका माधवाशं प्राप्तो यस्य प्रथितकृपया श्रीगुरुं तं नतोऽस्मि। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुता पदकमलं श्रीगुरू वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च अददन्तस्तृणं दन्ते इदं याचः पुनः पुनः श्रीमन्रूपपदाम्भोजं धूलिस्यां जन्म जन्मनि। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। सर्वं श्री कृष्णार्पणमस्तु. So this verse is tasya nirharaṇādīni samparetasya bhārgava yudhiṣṭhira kārayitvā muhūrtaṁ duḥkhito bhavat. O descendant of Bhṛgu, Śaunaka, after performing funeral rituals for the dead body of Bhīṣmadeva, Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira was momentarily overtaken with grief. This verse is signifying the irrevocable fact of this material world. What is the irrevocable fact of the material world? Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu. That is the irrevocable fact of the material world. One who has taken birth in this material world is certain to die. Dhruvam janma mritasya cha. There is also another certainty that one who has given up the material body will take up another body also. These two are irrevocable facts of this material world. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu, dhruvam janma mritasya cha. And this particular verse is showing that even a liberated person like Srila Bhīṣmadeva had to give up his body. This is the nature of the material world. We see that here Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira was performing the last rites for Bhīṣmadeva. And Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira had this experience of the question being asked by Yaksha. So that's the baka. So Yaksha was in the form of crane, and he was asking these questions. We know about this story in Mahabharata, where the 5 Pandavas are in the forest. They are thirsty. They go to the pond, and the crane there is asking the questions to the Pandavas, and they're saying that if you don't answer those questions and drink the water, you will die. And all the Pandavas except Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira answers those questions. So one of the questions that the crane asks is, what is the most wonderful thing in this world? And Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira replies, ahani ahani bhutani gacchanti yamalayam. Yet every moment someone is giving up their body. Every moment. Ahani ahani bhutani gacchanti yamalayam. Yamalayam, the place of Lord Yamaraj. Sheshas thavaram icchanti atha ascharya kim param. So this is what Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira is answering. That it is evident that at every moment someone is leaving this world. Of course, leaving this world means in the gross way, we are saying that the person has left. But in the subtle way, we know that there is no death for the immortal soul. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit. So this is the words that Krishna has mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit. At any point of time, there is no. So this is just the opposite statement of ahani ahani bhutani. And from two perspectives. One perspective is the outside perspective, the gross perspective. And the other perspective is the inside perspective, the subtle perspective. The wonderful nature of this material world is such that somehow or other, we only believe the things that we can actually see. And that's why the material world is called Maya, not this. Maya means, Ma means not, and Ya means this, not this. Because we cannot see the subtle, and because we cannot see the subtle, we think that there is no subtle, there is only gross. Therefore, Krishna says that even though there are those ingredients, bhumir, apa, anala, vayu, kham, mana, buddhirevacha. So there is earth, water, fire, air, ether. So those are the 5 gross elements, and the subtlety increases each time. For example, earth is very gross, so water is you can touch. Fire, if we try to touch fire, we'll get burnt. So therefore we don't try to touch fire. So but fire we can see. Then the air. We know air is existing, but we cannot see air. Similarly, the space is there, and space can be seen because everything is space. The sky, for example. So ether. And then mind. So the subtlety is increasing now. The subtlety layer is increasing. So mind is even more subtler. And then intelligence. Kham, bhumir, apa, anala, vayu, kham, mana, buddhirevacha. So kham is the ether, the space. Mana is the mind, and buddhi is the intelligence. Ahankaram itiyame. And after the intelligence is the false ego. So false ego is even more subtler than intelligence. And it is the false ego that is binding the eternal soul with a temporary body. Ahankara. Prakriti kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasha yah pashyati tathatmanam akartaram sa pashyati. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that all the activities are being done by the modes of material nature. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha. Karmani sarvasha, all the activities are being done under the influence of the modes of material nature. Satvat sanjayate jnanam rajasa lobham evacha pramada moha tamaso bhavato ajnanam evacha. So what are these 3 modes of material nature? One is the mode of goodness. Satvat sanjayate jnanam. And the characteristic of mode of goodness is that it gives us the platform to understand the transcendental knowledge. That is the mode of goodness. Rajasa lobham evacha. When it is mode of passion, then it creates greed. Greed to acquire more and more material things. That is the mode of passion. But if the same greed is used towards Krishna, then it becomes tatra laulyam api ekalam mulyam. It becomes the great eagerness, the great greed of attachment towards Krishna. So the mind has to get attached. That is the nature of the mind. Therefore, Krishna actually mentions klesho adhikaras tesham avyaktasakta chetasam avyakto hi gatir dukkham dehavadbhir avapyate. So someone who is following the impersonal way of spiritual life, for them there is klesha adhikaras. Klesha. It is very difficult and extreme difficulty. avyaktasakta chetasam, one who is attached to the avyakta, to the impersonal aspect. Vyakti is person, and avyakta is something that is impersonal. So avyakta asakta chetasam. So if the mind is attached to impersonal aspect of spiritual life, then klesho adhikaras tesham. For such a person, there is a lot of difficulty in progressing in the spiritual life. Why? Because avyakto hi gathir dukkham deha vadbhir avapyate. Because by nature, in this material world, we have this material body. The only way we interact with others is by seeing their material body and their actions. Because we cannot see the subtle soul. Even though the people who have faith and who have the spiritual logic, I'm saying spiritual logic because for someone who is totally in a material thinking, this maya pahrita jnana. So Krishna mentions 4 kinds of people don't surrender to me. And there is one category of person called one whose intelligence has been taken away by the material energy. So that maya pahrita jnana people, somehow or other, cannot understand the basic fact of spiritual life, which is that we are all eternal spiritual particles, eternally associated with the Lord, eternally in relationship with Krishna. Mame vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Sanatana, eternally. So Krishna says that all the living entities are my amsha, part and parcel in this whole universe. So somehow or other, because of the maya pahrita jnana, the original intelligence being overtaken by the material energy of the Lord, this basic irrevocable fact. So there are 2 irrevocable facts. The first is that we are eternal and we are eternally part and parcel of the Lord. And the second is that the external body is temporary and it has to be given up. So it's a wonderful paradox that we are in. This wonder, if we see in this, there is a story where we see that a pure devotee is believing that the Lord has the capability to take the elephant inside the eye of the needle. Put the elephant inside the eye of the needle. So the Lord can do anything. So isn't this, if we look at it with a with actual, in the sense of wonder, in the sense of amazement. If we look at this material world, isn't it exactly the same? Like taking an elephant inside the eye of the needle. This material world is that. How? The paradoxical situation of an eternal being, eternally associated with the Lord, present in a temporary body, which can die at any moment. This is the wonderful creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you look at this variety in the material nature, how amazing it is, the variety. If you look at a blade of grass, look at the perfection of the blade of grass. If you look at, say, butterfly, look at the beauty of the butterfly. So there is this statement in the invocation of Sri Ishopanishad, which says, Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Evavashishyate. Such a wonderful verse. So the Lord is complete, and from Him everything complete is emerging from Him. Purnamadah Purnamidam. So the Lord is complete, and everything emanating from Him is complete. Purnat Purnamudachyate. So from the complete Lord, everything complete is coming out. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Evavashishyate. If we take out completeness from the complete, what is left is again complete, the whole. So this, what Krishna says about Maya tatam idam sarvam. Maya tatam idam sarvam. Jagat avyakta murtina. So this whole universe is, so the Lord is present in the form of His energy. So therefore, Jagat avyakta murtina mat sthani sarva bhutani na chaham tesha avastita. Aham evasam evagre nanyadyat sadasat param paschadaham yadetacha yo avashishyate sosmi aham. This is that verse, the Chatushloki Srimad-Bhagavatam. Krishna is speaking to Brahma. So Krishna says that Aham evasam evagre. So I am in the beginning. So there was no one else. The Lord was the only person. So this Karanarnava Jale Bhajati Sma Yoga Nidram. So he's in the Karana ocean, the causal ocean, Mahavishnu. So Jagadanda Shatani. So Ananta Jagadanda Shatani Smaroma Kupa. So from his pores, from his breathing, unlimited universes are coming out. The Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyacha. So this is the transcendental position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That He does not have to do anything in action. It automatically happens. Na tasya karanam karanam cha vidyate, na tat samas cha abhyadikas cha drishyate. So this is mentioned in the Upanishads that so the Lord does not have a cause. So, but he is the cause of everyone. So natasya karanam cha vidyate, and there is no one equal to or greater than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Natat samas cha abhyadikas cha drishyate. No one equal to or greater than the Lord. Parasya shaktir vividhaiva shruyate. So parasya shaktir. So he has got transcendental potencies through which all these wonderful multifarious creations are happening. And how are they happening? Swabhaviki jnana bala kriyacha. Swabhavik. Autonomically. Autonomously. Automatically. So this is jnana, bala and kriya. The knowledge, the strength and the activities of the Lord. They are automatically creating these multifarious universes. Therefore, Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that aham sarvasya prabhavo mattas sarvam pravartate. So this is the first verse of the Chatushloki Gita. So Bhagavad Gita. So aham sarvasya prabhava. So from me, everything is emanating. Mattas sarvam pravartate. Everything is coming from me. Iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. So when someone knows this, understands this, then one engages in loving devotional service of the Lord. Bhajante mam. Who is such a person? Buddha. Such a person is really intelligent. And how does such a person engage in the devotional service of the Lord? Bhava samanvita. Bhava. Bhava is the emotions, the feelings. Bhava grahi janardana. So the Lord accepts the intention, accepts the emotion, accepts the feeling with which the service is done. If we have the feeling of ahankara, then the Lord unfortunately will not be able to accept the service. What is ahankara? Ahankara is the false ego. So we were discussing in the beginning about this prakriti kriyamanani, gune karmani sarvasha. So we were talking about this mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. Pramada moho tamaso bhavato ajnanam evacha. So in the mode of ignorance, it is laziness and it is hallucination. So one is in a mode of hallucination. There is ajnana. Yah pashyati tathatmanam akartaram sa pashyati. That actually the real self, because it is eternally in association with the Lord, is not engaged in any material activity. The material activities are being performed by the material body, the material mind, and the material intelligence, which is all matter. But the real ya pashyati tathatmanam akartaram. So the real self is akartara. Kartara is someone who is doing, and akartara is someone who is not doing. So what is the self doing then? Self is eternally linked with the Lord. So what can self do? Engage in devotional service. The real self can only engage in devotional service. And when we understand that, we are that real self, Tattvam Asi. That is a Mahavakya in the Upanishads, Tattvam Asi. That we are that. What is that? That Aham Brahmasmi. That is another Mahavakya. What is Brahma? That is Brahmano hi pratishtaham. So that is Brahma is what? The understanding that the eternal nature of this, that every living entity is eternal. That understanding is the prime foundation on the basis of which any spiritual activity, any real spiritual activity can be done. If the spiritual activity is done on the basis of the body, then it is not real spiritual activity. It is tainted with material attachment. Therefore, this Atha Shri Krishna, so there is this verse which says that Tatra laulyam api ekalam Krishna bhakti rasa bhavitamati kriyatam yadi kutopi labhyate. This is said by Srila Rupa Goswami. He is saying that this loving devotional service to the Lord, Krishna bhakti, rasa bhavitamati. So it is full of transcendental mellows, rasa bhavita, and mati, the mind, intelligence is all submerged in that transcendental mellow of love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So Srila Rupa Goswami is saying that this transcendental, loving, devotional service to the Lord, full of transcendental mellows, let me purchase it if it is available somewhere. Kriyatam yadi kutopi labhyate. Then the question is, what is the price that I have to pay to get this attachment to Lord? Tatra laulyam api ekalam mulyam. What is said there is the only price to pay for this transcendental mellow of attachment of loving devotional service to Krishna is laulyam. It's a greed. It's the intensity. It's the eagerness. The eagerness. So that's the only price. The only price for loving devotional service to the Lord is eagerness. How eager are we? Tatra laulyam api ekala mulyam. That's the only price. And one of the wonderful things about this laulyam is janma koti sukritir na labhyate. This eagerness cannot be obtained even if one has done lots of pious activities for janma koti, for millions of births. So it's a very, the position of the devotee of the Lord is certainly the highest. Yeah. Because Krishna himself says, Aham bhakta paradhino, hi aswatantra ivadvija. So Krishna actually says that I am under the control of my devotees. Paradhino, I am under the control, like I am dependent on my devotees. So Krishna is actually independent, Swarat. So this janmadhyasya ata anvayaditaratascha artheshu abhignya swarat. So this is said in Srimad-Bhagavatam, first verse. Krishna is independent. But he says that aham bhakta paradhino. I am dependent on my devotees. And he aswatantra. I'm swatantra means independent. But Krishna says that I am dependent. So I am under the control of my devotees and I am dependent on my devotees. This is the transcendental position of the devotee of the Lord. It is, and each and every devotee is really special because of that. Some Mahatmas sudurlabha. This is sudurlabha. It's not just rare. It's very rare. So this is what the Lord is saying. Very rare, extremely rare. So the devotees are extremely rare people. Therefore, it is really a transcendental position to be in the material world. When one is devotee of the Lord, one transcends the ups and downs of the material world. This, where Krishna says this sukha dukkha same kritva labha labho jaya jayo. So this, so when there is happiness or when there is distress, same kritva, one is in equanimity. Equanimity of mind is there. In that the devotee has equanimity of mind. Why is that? Because the devotee knows that this material world is ever changing. It is, the nature of the material world is that it changes. That's the fundamental nature. There is never, and there is duality. That's another fundamental nature of the material world. Dvandva. So there is duality of, the basic duality of, when there is birth, there is death. Then there are all the other dualities. There is sunrise, there is sunset. So sunrise is bringing day, sunset is bringing night. There is happiness, there is sorrow. So this, therefore, this ichha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata. Sarva mohani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. So this is ichha and dvesha. That is the nature of the material world. So whatever I like, I am attached to it, and whatever I dislike, I am detested from it. This is this pendulum of life in this material world. Dvandva mohena, and then there is attachment, bharata. Sarva bhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. So all the living entities are thus enamored by this. This attachment and repulsions. So here in this verse, this it is mentioned that about the transcendental position of Bhīṣmadeva. That is what is mentioned in this verse. Say, for example, here it is mentioned, he was simply waiting for the opportune moment because he was sure and certain that the sons of Pandu would come out victorious in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. As his Lordship, Sri Krishna was their protector. This was the unadulterated loving devotional service of Bhīṣmadeva, that he knew 100% that the Pandavas will come out victorious in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, because he knew Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, tatra Shrir Vijayor Bhuti, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. This is so Bhīṣmadeva actually sings this Vishnu Sahasranama, gives the 1,000 names of Vishnu to Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira when he is lying on the Sharashaya, the bed of arrows. And this is one of the Dhyanam verses, the meditation verses of Vishnu Sahasranama, that Sanjaya said in Bhagavad Gita, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shrir Vijayor Bhutir, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. So wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, Yogeshwara, so the Ishvara, the lord of all the yogis, is Krishna. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara. And where there is son of Pritha, Arjuna, who is who takes up on the bow, the Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shrir Vijayor Bhutir. So there you have this auspiciousness. There is victory. Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. 100% I can guarantee this. So this was the what Maharaj Srila Bhīṣmadeva also is confirming, that Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati, as Krishna himself confirms. O son of Kunti, O Arjuna, declare it on my behalf that my devotees shall never be vanquished. This Krishna himself is declaring this. And Srila Bhīṣmadeva is attesting to this fact. As a devotee of the Lord, he knew that the Lord's devotee cannot be vanquished at any time. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira was quite aware of all these good wishes of Bhīṣmadeva, and therefore he must have been feeling the great separation. He was sorry for the separation of a great soul and not for the material body which Bhīṣmadeva relinquished. Because Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira has done the funeral ceremony of his grandsire Bhīṣma, is feeling the separation. But Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that the separation that Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira is feeling is for the separation from a great soul. Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. That Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanvan Mam Prapadyate. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. So this, after many births and many deaths, Jnanvan Mam Prapadyate. A person in knowledge surrenders onto me. And then in that surrender, when one understands that everything belongs to the Lord. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam. Yat Kincham Jagatyam Jagat. So that everything is Lord's. Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Such a great soul is extremely rare. And that's Bhīṣmadeva there. Because he was always aware of the transcendental position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Always in a transcendental state. So the funeral ceremony was a necessary duty, although Bhīṣmadeva was a liberated soul. This is again another important point. The funeral ceremony was a necessary duty, although Bhīṣmadeva was a liberated soul. So this signifies the importance of all the Vedic ceremonies. So even Bhīṣmadeva was a liberated soul, but the funeral ceremony was necessary duty. because all those, because in the material world, because it is based on matter, all these rituals are very important. So that's why it is mentioned here. Since Bhīṣmadeva was without issue, the eldest grandson, namely Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira, was the rightful person to perform this ceremony. It was a great boon to Bhīṣmadeva that an equally great son of the family undertook the last rites of a great man. The conclusion of the purport is again wonderful conclusion that Srila Prabhupada is giving here. It was a great boon to Bhīṣmadeva that an equally great son of the family undertook the last rites of a great man. So we can see here that even though Bhīṣmadeva had taken that vow that he will never marry and he will never have any progeny, so that not even him, but his progeny will also not sit on the throne of Hastinapur, as was asked by Satyavati to Shantanu. So even in that situation, at the end time, the funeral was done by Dharmaraja's son. The Yamraja's, so he is the best religious person who could exist. Of course, there's no one greater than Krishna, but in terms of the religious execution of duties in the mortal realm, Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira was the supreme at the time, and Srila Bhīṣmadeva was the supreme devotee of the Lord. So both two supreme devotees. So this is the transcendental way in which the Lord takes care of his devotee. That even though Bhīṣmadeva did not have his own son, but the best person in the world that was existing at the time, Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira, did the funeral rites for Bhīṣmadeva. So that's how Krishna is taking care of his devotees. Personally, Krishna takes care of each and every devotee. If you want to take one point from this verse, it is that Krishna takes personal care of each and every devotee. Yeah. You can see that from this ceremony, the funeral ceremony for Bhīṣmadeva that was conducted by Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira. Tasya nirharaṇādīni samparetasya bhārgava yudhiṣṭhira kārayitvā muhūrtaṁ duḥkhito bhavat. O descendant of Bhṛgu Śaunaka, after performing funeral rituals for the dead body of Bhīṣmadeva, Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira was momentarily overtaken with grief. Thank you very much for listening. I see one comment here. Thank you very much, Sri Rupa Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Is it enough then to just theoretically understand we are servants to actually be serving the Lord? Theoretically understand we are servants of the Lord to actually be. Yeah, no, Prabhu. Actually, I think, theoretical understanding is not enough. It has to be on the practical level. And how do we know it is on the practical level? It depends on how we are dealing. So there is dayaya sarva bhuteshu. Santushto yena kenava. And then there is a third one. Sarvendriya upashantyacha tushyatyashu janardana. So this is the verse stated by Narada Muni. And how do we know that we are practically the servants of the Lord? When we see these three qualities in anyone, then we know that we are practically the servants of the Lord, not just theoretically. And what are the three qualities? The first one is dayaya sarva bhuteshu. That we have compassion for everyone. Every living entity we have compassion for. In terms of the devotees who are advanced, then we are in terms of service to them, but the compassion is mainly for anyone, not even for someone who is unfortunately not able to surrender to the Lord due to whatever reasons. So the compassion for everyone, so that is important. Daya sarva bhuteshu. Then this santushto yena kenava. One is happy in any circumstances, whatever be the circumstance. If one can have that equanimity of mind, then one knows that, then we know that this is practically a devotee. So it's not going into a depression state when things are not working out well, and he's not extremely in a highly elated position when things are going well. It's a constant platform of service to the Lord. And then sarvendriya upashantyacha. So the third point is when the senses are controlled. Tushyathyashu janardana. So when these three conditions are there, then we know that he's a devotee on a practical level. So it's not just a theoretical. And a person is on a practical level of devotee. Amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, shanti arjavam, acharyopasanam, shaucham, stairyam, atma vinigraha. When we know that a person is not proud, humble, adambitvam, so ahimsa, non-violence, shanti, arjavam, simplicity, acharyopasanam, worshipping the spiritual master, shaucham, cleanliness, stairyam, sense control, being steady in serving the Lord. So these are the qualities. So to answer it, Prabhu, it is that all those qualities has to be seen. This is there is this sadhavo sadhu bhushanam titikshava karunika suhridam sarvadehinam ajata shatrava shanta sadhavo sadhu bhushanam. So those are the jewels that the saintly person are wearing. So that's titikshava, forbearance, karunika, compassion, suhridam sarvadehinam, being the best friend of all the living entities, ajata shatrava shanta. So one who does not have any enemy. So even though externally there might be enemies from the other person's perspective, but for the devotee there is no enemy. No enemy is born because the devotee is treating everyone as part and parcel of the Lord. So how can devotee be enemy with anyone? So shanta, very peaceful. These are all the qualities. So when we see those qualities, then we know that such a person is practically a devotee of the Lord. But if those qualities are not seen, that means progress has to be made in devotional service of the Lord. But at the end of the day, everyone is part and parcel of the Lord. So in that way, everyone is a devotee of the Lord. It's just a matter of taking out the covering. Some have taken the covering more, some have taken out the covering less. But at the end of the day, everyone is part and parcel of the Lord. Hope I have been able to answer the question, Sri Rupa Prabhu. Thank you very much for your point. Okay, so I would like to end this discussion here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Śrīmate. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। सर्वं श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु। हरे कृष्ण।